Hey, good evening, everybody, or wherever you are in the world. Hope you're having a fantastic day. I've got the Occult rejects with us today, Nick and Brandon. It's been about 3 or 4 years since we chatted about weather manipulation and chemtrails, but it's an absolutely fascinating subject, folks. And please support the guys' important work. We've got the Occult rejects link tree at the top of the description box, and I'm also going to put it in the live chat as well. But huge thank you for coming on, man.
No, thank you. I appreciate you asking us to come back on.
Yeah, thank you.
So for the viewers then, let's just set the stage and go over some of the basics first, because the document that you sent me is very scientific, but let's do some building blocks and some definitions to start with. So what is weather manipulation?
Well, for me, I have most of those topics, and the reason why I even chose patents is so at least like people who are like, I guess, still on the fence thinking it's woo-woo or made up a conspiracy. There's a patent; it's real. You can't tell me like there's proof that it's being used and it's been shown to work. But with that, a lot of it, it's what I will be showing is probably what they're trying to do and then how they're trying to do it. I can try to explain some of it in plain sense, but a lot of it is sending balloons up or sending things up into the sky, and either through chemicals being mixed or stuff, gases, and then eventually electric. As you get into the newer patents, now they can just send electromagnetic pulses. But a lot of it is that basically sending something up and creating stuff to cause clouds or to manipulate stuff. And some of them are very old, which is why I use the patents too, to show how old and how long they've been doing this for.
Okay, Brandon, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, when it comes to weather manipulation, you have to get to the ideas of the differentiation between what a contrail and a chemtrail is. And those differentiations lead to an understanding of, is it just a water vapor that is coming out of the exhaust of these planes, or is it something more than that, which then we can find that is being like sprayed and more laden in our everyday environment. And a chemtrail is something more along the lines of strontium, barium, and aluminum, which we're finding in droves, not only in the ground, but in our own bodies, as we're trying to understand what are all these metals that are going on around us and disrupting our endocrine system.
And what do you believe is the purpose of them putting these substances in our bodies?
Well, that's kind of a deep rabbit hole, but I think an initial purpose for putting these kind of metals in our bodies would be, maybe it's not one big global conspiracy, but more along the idea of that the body science and allopathic medicine haven't come hand in hand in trying to understand what it means to have all these metals in our body. But the deeper rabbit hole gets us into the ideas that metals are highly conductive. And when things are highly conductive, you can then manipulate an individual on such a level that you can almost take control of their body, which then gets us into deeper subjects of what's been going on for the past 50 to 100 years.
It's almost as if they're trying to transform us into human antennae.
Yeah, I think so. Frequencies, they can start making those metals start doing things inside of you. Can reflect frequencies too. You could, like you said, an antenna.
Yeah.
So what's the history of this stuff then? When did it first start to become apparent?
Well, I could tell you the first patent that I could cover is from 1891 for weather manipulation patents and proof of it. And there is one that I cover that I think I have that's from 1910. And it does mention that I thought it was interesting the way it worded it, that it's the second patent I've came across. And it does mention adding on to previous ones. Now, I'm not saying that this is the case, but in 1836, the patent office also burnt down. So anything prior to that, there's no proof of. So when they're talking about referring back to older ones, I know I have that one from 1891, but are they even talking about something prior to that there's no proof of anymore because the patent office already burnt down? I'm not saying they were doing it in the 1820s, but you have no idea because the patent office burnt down. There's no proof of anything prior to that.
So 1891, what were they up to at that historic date?
That one, you get the method of producing rainfall. And that was, November 10th, 1891. It was filed July 16th, 1891. And the inventor was Louis Gathman, and he was a resident of Chicago. That one, he says, my invention relates to a method of producing rainfall, and it consists of several steps hereinafter, fully described and specifically claimed, which, when combined, serve to accomplish the above named result, which is producing rainfall. My method is designed to produce a condensation in the upper regions of the atmosphere, aeric air, in such quantities that a cloud will be formed from which a rainfall will precipitate. Various means can be employed for accomplishing this object, namely a condensation of moisture suspended in the atmosphere, but the means herein named is thought to be mostly successful, namely to suddenly chill the atmosphere by rapid evaporation. And it is also advisable to produce a heavy concussion in connection with the cooling in order to set different air currents in motion. So this one, again, is like kind of like they're trying to send stuff up in the air to change the pressure, basically. So that's like kind of like one of the first patents. One thing that I do think is interesting, I'm just throwing this out there for the conspiracy theorists. The witness of this, if you look at his tombstone, W.M.H. Lutz, he does have a Freemasonic symbol on his gravestone. So I'm just putting that out there for the more conspiracy theorists. The witness to this whatever device was amazing. But yeah, when it comes to that one, it's basically like they're just trying to kind of like change the air pressure, the atmospheric pressure and stuff to get clouds to form and then hope it rains.
So did the US government get involved at that historic date?
There are ones that I do have that are later on that the government definitely did. The government and the Navy seems to be the ones that they did a couple of them themselves. They actually have the patents. The government did the patents. Then there's military patents for weather manipulation. Then you also have to think if anybody out there, like the Department of Agriculture has come out with a few patents. Well, the Department of Agriculture is it's part of the government. So like even then, like you may not think anything of it. You think, oh, the Department of Agriculture, but still that's under the government. They're the ones who paid for you to do that.
Anything to add at this point, Brandon?
Yeah, it seems to be really interesting how what they, as in the government, DARPA and all these people are trying to tell us what they're really doing it for is they're trying to help with climate change. And what's really interesting about that is once you get really deep into weather modification and how things are going is that the weather modification is actually changing the climate at a drastic rate, especially because how the ecosystem of the oceans and the landmass into the ionosphere are so interconnected that when you put all these metals like aluminum, strontium, and barium into the oceans, you're actually disrupting the ecological ecosystems and its harmony as things go along. So they're actually speeding along climate change, it seems, at a drastic rate when what they're saying is what they're trying to do is block out the sun. And the differentiation between these two things is most people will say, well, aluminum, we have aluminum everywhere. We already have small bits of aluminum in our body, but it's not just aluminum. It's nanoparticle aluminum that crosses the blood-brain barrier. And when you have these metals crossing the blood-brain barrier, just think of it like that's where the MK Ultra stuff comes in, is that now it's like you have electrodes in and around the brain that when we're watching things and all of these frequencies, which are now all around us, we're easily then controlled. And these are all done through DARPA and all the different defense departments that you can go look up right now and read that they did this on animals, on monkeys, on rats. And they actually controlled them from frequency Wi-Fi towers, and they actually moved them around the spaces. So just think what happens then with humans, especially because we eat such highly processed food and everything we take in, and a lot of these nanoparticles are coming through aerosol sprays around us, thus going back to the weather modification.
So what's DARPA about? Who founded DARPA? What does it mean?
It's the Defense Advanced Research Project. So at first became ARPA and then moved into being DARPA, which is a deep black op department of the military industrial complex. And who created that? I mean, it's just like the same thing as the CIA was first the OSS. It was the United States government along with other governments of the world putting this military industrial black budget, and it gave us a lot of great things, right? We're able to talk through the internet right now, but at the same time, it's about what is going on underneath with the defense budgets where they're spending billions upon billions of dollars saying it's for our own good when we don't even know what our tax money is going for. And so it's an interesting research department that is used every day on all of us, and we're using all of the technology right now.
So it's gone from a patent in 1890 to spending billions of dollars. Nick, could you take us through how it progressed over the years?
Yeah, I got another one that actually is kind of quick. It'll read easier, and I think it's just weird how you hear like what they're doing for this one. I actually find it very weird. So in 1914, you do have it's called the Rainmaker, and that was done by James M. Cordray. And yes, that's July 14th, 1914. I was wrong, 1914. And this one, he says, a further object of my invention is to accomplish this by supplying moisture, heat, and nitrogen to the air at a considerable distance above the Earth's surface, and by violently agitating the air by means of explosives raised above the Earth's surface, by balloons, kites, or other suitable devices. I use explosives to agitate the atmosphere with the nitrogen used, and it causes a moist condition to prevail, producing rain. Then it gets even weirder. Figure 2 illustrates one of a number of balloons employed in raising powder and chloride of potash and exploding the powder, so scattering the potash. Figure 3 illustrates one of a number of balloons employed in raising powder and water, the powder being exploded to scatter the water. Figure 4 illustrates one of a number of balloons to be employed in raising a tank containing sulfuric acid and crushed bone. The bone and acid being intended as a ready means for generating nitrogen. So like you even have a balloon up in the sky with sulfuric acid. If that tank was to bust and fall, if there's anything underneath it, that shit's dead. You know what I'm saying? You're mixing that in bone. Like, who came up with that? And you're raising that into the sky with balloons to try to make it rain. Like, who comes up with that shit?
Yeah, and it's fascinating how when we're talking about weather modification is most of the time you hear it through like war games. And so if you can think about if you can create weather patterns and if you can create droughts, hurricanes, and massive amounts of rain all at the same time, doesn't that seem like you then have control over the planet, and how warfare is even conducted, which is fascinating because this has been going on since the early 1900s, starting with World War I and beforehand. Because you got to think how, what was going on from the 1800s to the 1900s, that's when the very electrical grid system was being placed upon our planet. And so you went from not having any electricity, as in wires that was going through everything, to now these wires are going all around everywhere. And slowly through time, as places like DARPA or the CIA or these three-lettered agencies, CERN and whatnot, as they are, able to collect more and more data through different projects, you are able to then make these wires disappear, thus disappearing from our very psyche and consciousness, even though it's affecting us on a subconscious level.
Tracy wants to know, what type of bone were you referencing?
I think it said human. Let me see. Does it specify
Really?
which type of bone? Yeah, I'm looking right at the tank containing sulfuric acid and crushed bone. Yeah, it says the bone and acid being intended as a ready means. Doesn't specify. I don't remember it mentioning bone anywhere else. So
Wonder where the supply was coming from.
Yeah, actually, that's it's human. Where is that coming from, right?
So what you've detailed then came before World War I and World War II. So I imagine they tried to utilize this during the Great Wars. Do you have details from those times?
No. I mean, I would assume that they have, because there is other patents that come out, like even I think in the 50s or 70s. I don't know if I have any of them with me, where they do try to like control hurricanes and like tornadoes. Those things I would assume probably have been used. I just don't know which war. You know that.
And what's the method to control a hurricane or a tornado?
Let's see. I think so. Man, you might have put me on the spot here.
All right,
What they're doing is they're actually pulsing out sonic frequencies at the same time as they're cloud seeding with these different metals. What's going on is they're actually being able to control the clouds and formulate through the electromagnetic fields that they're creating with aluminum, strontium, barium, and the other metals at the same time. As we know, metals are highly conductive, and if you have the ability to seed the atmosphere with these things, you can then create all of the cloud formations and strange weather patterns at that time. So it's using the earth and the sky at the same time.
So cloud seeding, is that creating their own clouds from what they're putting in the atmosphere?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
No,
sorry. No, I was just saying that's definitely what's going on, and I'm not saying, and I do want to balance this out with saying cloud seeding, as in contrails and creating weather patterns, is also has a positive, because where there is areas that you want to terraform and create, say, grasslands in the great deserts of the different places around the planet, that can be positive. But we have to understand that at the same time, a lot of the good things are being shown, and everything that is now being put in underneath that is the net negative, due to us not having, or them not wanting to have a healthy society.
There's one that I do have from 1950. I'm sorry, 1948. It's process for controlling weather. And this one, gets pretty specific. This invention relates to a process for affecting changes in weather conditions, and more specifically to a process for dissipating clouds and fog by clearing the atmosphere of moisture particles that are large enough to be visible and yet not large enough to fall out of suspension in the gases of the atmosphere. The overall object of this present invention is directed to the control of weather conditions generally. Specifically, the object of this invention is to maintain contact weather conditions at airports, air traffic zones, and centers and airways by reducing economically the amount of visible water vapor causing particular undesirable weather. Another object of this invention is to control weather which causes hail damage, lightning, and interferences with wave transmissions by the reduction of visible water vapor through the dissipation of cumulonimbus clouds. I don't know how to say that type of cloud. Another object of this invention is the control of weather by dissipating typhoons, hurricanes, and other storm centers by the dissipation of the convection clouds forming the weather phenomena. Another object of this present invention is the control of weather causing snow and sleet in heavily populated areas where large quantities are particularly undesirable because of its effects on traffic conditions. I don't know why it would say we do that.
That's fascinating.
Another object of the present invention is the process of dissipating weather frontal systems which cause floods due to continuous rains. Another object of this present invention is to provide rain in designated areas by use of my weather control processes. Another object of this present invention is to provide desirable weather for sport events and all other outdoor recreational activities which require good weather. The other one is even saying if it's an invention just to help desirable weather for businesses. So, I mean, that one does kind of get specific, and that's back in like 1948.
So back in 1948, then, these objectives, were they just stating them and doing experiments, or did they actually achieve? Is it documented that they achieved any of those objectives?
Yeah, the witnesses are the ones supposed to be stating too that they've seen this, it works.
Right. So, that's around the time Operation Paperclip, the inception of MK Ultra, etc. So
this one, just for the listeners, I don't know if you have people that like going down rabbit holes. This one does get assigned to WC Inc., a corporation of Delaware. When I first looked up this patent a few years ago, I looked into that company, and it is really weird. It's very suspect, and they have a lot of people there with tons of weird patents working for them. I got lost in the rabbit hole. I'm sure there's something shady with that company.
So Brandon, MK Ultra, we saw the evolution of that, World War II, etc. the incorporation of the Nazis into US intelligence and science. How did that overlap with weather modification in the beginning?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's really important to understand how they're trying to really create a world that is completely controlled with this oligarchic, technocratic, dystopian system that's going on. So if you can control not only the weather, control how people think, which is then understanding how the nervous system and the brain works, and then at the same time control everything that is going around them in and out of their bodies, then you can take this weather modification with MK Ultra at the same time, and you basically have, because what's going on is that when you have the control of the limbic system and the nervous system, what you're doing is you can put people through a lethargic state of being, and what it's called imprint vulnerability, which is what they understood when they were truly getting deep into MK Ultra, which never ended and is still going on today, and it's happening right now as we see it. So you can see Dr. Jack Kruse and his work out there that with blue light, it actually does the exact same thing. There's photo ambulation is what it's called, when our screens are flickering at such a rate that it does something and it puts us into a stressed cortisol releasing system. And when you can put people, which is what they were doing at MK Ultra and what they're doing with weather modification, is having the ability to put people through a stressed state, they can be easily controlled. And if you're easily controlled, nobody's going to rise up against the system. They're only going to become useful idiots to be pawns for that system. And that was majorly being done at that time with what is it, like Jolly West and Libfried and all those characters during MK Ultra, and everything like Project Artichoke and everything that was going on at that time frame.
Anything to add there, Nick?
Is that what? Oh, Nick. Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you say?
Is there anything to add to that, Nick?
Oh no, I think he was pretty. That was pretty well said. He was actually talking to me about that prior to the show, about how they do connect. So.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is how we don't understand that Wi-Fi and radiation, all Wi-Fi is non-native EMF. And if we can understand that the human biological system is an electromagnetic light system, then we can understand how important it was for them to understand the nervous system brain connection, with then how to seed through aerosol and through balloons and through frequencies through this weather modification and HARP and all these different things that DARPA is using, that how to control not only one individual, not only a household, but a whole population on a global level. And going into the ideas that with weather modification, just so people know, as you can look up when we were, as we still are today with Iran, we were able to control their weather, and the Iranian president in the 90s was coming out on TV talking about it. And also you can hear people who were in the military then became meteorologists, and they're explaining as these small little weather patterns are going across. They're like, that's not a normal weather pattern. But what that is that is an airplane flying across right now, seeding that area. And so it's not underneath the shadows. It's actually right out in the open. It's just what they're doing is working. And people are so lethargic to everyday needs, because we have to work and do these things, that they, getting into these deeper subjects leads us almost to be so over inundated with just information. What are you to do?
So, Nick, how did these patterns evolve in the latter half of the last century?
All right, yeah, let me look up one of the other ones.
Thanks.
Yeah. One I do have from October 28th, 1975, and this one was from the government, which is why I'm including it, especially the Navy. And that one, the background in the section describes a classic cloud seeding premise. Their supercooled clouds can remain liquid below 0% Celsius if they lack enough natural ice nuclei. Add nuclei and ice crystals form. They grow by taking water vapor and or collecting droplets. So the patent's weather control is to change the timing and abundance of ice crystal formation inside clouds. I think like one of the things that you'll start to see is like the change of originally they're trying to do different pressures, then they're sending up, sulfuric acid and bone. And now they start like using like other things. Sorry. Oops. I think I was reading one. My apologies. Sorry. All right. Yeah, here's a better one. Weather modification by artificial satellites. 1999. That one's inventors Franklin Chen. That was the timeline done was that was between 1991 and 1998, and then was finally published 1999. Chen proposes a satellite weather modification system, a network of satellites that collect sunlight and then either reflect it to cool, heat areas by changing how much sunlight reaches Earth, or convert it into other energy beams and aim those beams into selected atmospheric weather cells. This system is framed as a closed loop control scheme, which is remote sensing measures the atmosphere, ground control stations run modules and simulations, and then satellites are commanded to aim or shift beams using adjusted aim points, AAPs, to drive the atmosphere towards a targeted state. How it claims to control the weather, the patent explicitly lays out 4 basic weather modification techniques and then combines them into applications. Global cooling and pattern nudging by blocking or redirecting sunlight. It suggests using extreme large numbers of satellite. The text uses millions or even billions to reflect solar radiation away from the Earth when cooling is desired. It also describes selective healing versus cooling, cool some regions while heating others to create temperature and pressure gradients that can induce or redirect air mass motion, even mentioning potential influence on jet stream path via pressure differences. Then there's local warming and cloud and humidity creation by heating the surface. For warming a region, satellites distribute AAPs across a target area and dwell beams there long enough to raise the temperature locally. And then for creating humidity and clouds, beams are aimed over wet surfaces like a lake or ocean patch to drive evaporation up, making a high humidity air mass that rises and cools into clouds. Almost like doing how nature does it. And then forcing air upward, artificial updraft columns. The patent describes aiming energy into a vertical column of AAPs inside and near an air mass to increase its upward motion, using sensor feedback to optimize beam type, intensity, or trajectory for a desired rate of climb. So, that one's a lot more different than I think the other ones that we did.
More sophisticated.
Yeah, it's like millions. Like, those already exist out there to use, or do we have to make those? What?
Yeah, well, then think also like those patents, when those patents were created and how far our technology has come since then. And so it's really easy to think like that the control grid that is around things has accelerated not by probably like 100-fold since that time frame.
Yeah, with the advancements of technology, I imagine in more recent times, the incorporation of drones, is that a factor?
Oh, yeah, right.
I would say completely, and not even just drones, but just think who one of the number one people in the like DARPA funded individuals is SpaceX, and with Elon, and just think of how our night sky is now covered with satellites and what those satellites are doing on a consistent basis. So it's really fascinating that the more ease of use that technology gives us, it's also taking away a lot of freedom and agency for us on a daily basis.
Yeah, and Elon came along, purported himself to be the savior of freedom of speech, but there's all these theories that he's just basically co-opted something that people were aggrieved about, and he's got this nefarious AI agenda. Yeah. What do you guys feel about that?
A lot of things. I feel a lot of things.
Well, let us know, Brandon.
Well, we have to realize again, going back to MK Ultra and what they were doing. And so this AI agenda that is being placed over everything, the you will own nothing and be happy, is integrated with the World Economic Forum in Davos, Peter Thiel and Palantir, as well as Larry Ellison and Oracle. It's that the further we go along with having ease of use and this system where maybe everybody, doesn't have to work work and, can do whatever they want, you have to realize that you're giving up everything that makes us human, not only the body, but also the mind. And these things are what been able to keep us free for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And so with Elon integrating this system and becoming the Trojan horse of freedom, he's really ushering in the ability to create dissonance instead of harmony, because we have to understand what AI does to the human brain, a normal human brain that doesn't think about high levels of philosophy, psychology, sociology, and these different main quadrivium, the ancient Greeks would call it, the seven liberal arts and all these things, that if you're not studying those things, AI then is a net negative instead of a net positive. And so I'm somebody who thinks that AI is coming no matter what. And so if you have a good critical thinking skills and the ability to wade through all the noise and find the harmony in things, then you can use AI for a positive, but also realize that as AI is being integrated into every bit of technology that you're using, all your private data is being taken away. And then if they have everything on you, it's a lot easier to then be put on these said lists that are coming out nowadays that have just been released, not saying that everyone is being Epsteined, but when they can just show the world what's on your screens and on your histories, you got to realize that maybe, even if you don't think you're doing anything wrong, anything can be twisted to be made wrong, just like we found out with big tobacco back in the day, big oil and everything like that.
Yeah, well said. The Trojan horse. Absolutely. Yeah. Anything to add there, Nick?
No, I'm good. I think you said enough on that. Yeah.
What about the role of cell phones in all this? Because I'm told it's like microwave radiation, and not to keep that too close to your body because it's affecting us.
Yeah. Nick, you got this?
Yeah. Say that again one more time. I'm sorry.
So with cell phones, I'm hearing that it's microwave radiation, and we shouldn't keep it too close to our bodies because that's going to, affect us. What do you think?
I think the equipment that we sit in front of all day podcasting probably isn't good either.
Yeah,
no,
really?
I do believe. Yeah. I think the EMF that these things give off could cause problems. Yeah, I do think so. I think it make you a little on edge, maybe.
Yeah, and not even maybe. What it does is it has a complete control over our limbic system, again, like I was saying before. And so we got to understand how the body's integral systems, the limbic system, the sympathetic system, the parasympathetic system work. Yeah. And so when you have a non-native EMF machine around you at all times, 5G, 4G, 3G, no matter what it is, it interferes with your own electromagnetic frequency, which what is going on is then you cannot create new cells at a mitochondrial level. You are then, every cell is dying at a vast rate, is being radiated by microwaves. And at the same time, you are now not hooked up to the EMFs of the earth, which is a natural Schumann resonance and frequency that is going on. And so we all are indoctrinated at such a cellular level and a mitochondrial level that you can't go through your autophagy, which is a cleaning out and a detox of a cell, and you're staying like you're shriveling up like a prune basically on its nicest level. But on the biggest level is what it's doing is it's interfering with your nervous system, and it's interfering with your ability to think critically and have your own thoughts, which goes back to the weather modification and MK Ultra, where now if you can control all aspects of somebody's life, it's fascinating is I know people who got the first Bluetooth headsets back in the 90s, and a lot of those people died of brain cancer, and they cover those things up and they don't tell people. So you can actually, if you hold your cell phone in your pocket and not on airplane mode, everyone knows this, but they're going to deny it, is that you actually feel a warmth, let alone, the abilities of how the levels of eugenics is going on, where the male fertility rates have gone down drastically. Another reason of what's going on with EMF frequencies, it's killing those little guys there that are needed to help See the population.
So do I need to go back to the corded headphones?
Well, that's why I do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly. I get Bluetooth out of your life as much as possible for that reason, because just think if there's another patent that Nick has in there that shows how not only Bluetooth radiation, but sonic frequencies going into your brain are having our tones like binaural beats. And what they're doing is it's at such a subconscious level, you're not going to be able to hear it, but your whole body changes. And what it does is, again, it brings upon this imprint vulnerability, where then it's easy to have this auto hypnotic frequencies, something that that they studied at the Monroe Institute with like Robert Monroe and his work. And you can then put people, and you can basically, of what MK Ultra was ultimately trying to do, one of many things, was create their own Manchurian candidates and have people who could go out there and do some really terrible things, and then a snap of a hat, they don't remember. And there's tons of data and science on that in a lot of amazing people's works out there.
What's the patent on that, Nick? Have you got that handy?
I think he does on his end.
Yes, I do.
I do want to add something though to kind of what you guys are talking about, but it's a little bit more coming from like the occult side. But I do think it's a little interesting to add this. As an occultist, in my opinion, like he's talking about the your nerves, or like your parasympathetic nerves, your limbic, your vagus. I do think it is extremely important to realize that, like, when it comes to occultism, and even like we're talking about MK Ultra trying to control people, it really is figuring out how to push those buttons in somebody, those nervous systems that make you act and feel certain ways, to the point to where it's like, I'll even say, like, believe it or not, in a lot of occult symbolism, you'll actually see certain nervous systems, in my opinion, being depicted. Your vagus nerve, your limbic. There's just certain things that I have seen, in my opinion, that like it's known that is like, a lot of occultists back in the day used to study the brain, the eyes, and the nervous system. There's a reason for that. They were looking into other things. So, like, I guess long story short is that a lot of times, like, even going with weather, that can cause fear. I even think when they televised the atomic bomb drop, that was kind of MK Ultras in a sense, because they just wreaked fear through millions of people's minds who saw that. That was scary for people. Oh my God, that could be possibly war. So, even people worrying about, snowstorms, tornadoes, this and that, I don't know, but that could cause stress. And then I think MK Ultra is all about like causing stress and pushing buttons to get people to believe certain things or act certain ways. So, that is a big deal, in my opinion, with occultism. If you believe there's people with occult powers trying to run people, that is a huge way that they do it. It's just literally, it's mental gymnastics, and to get you to act and feel certain ways.
What's the patent then, Brandon?
Patent US 3951, patent number of Robert Malik. Operation of sensing brainwaves at positions remote from a subject, whereby electromagnetic signals of different frequencies are simultaneously transmitted to the brain of the subject, in which the signals interfere with one another to yield a waveform which is modulated by the subject's own brainwaves. So that is, again, going and talking exactly about what I was talking about, where these, everyone wears them. We all walk around with them. And so they're able to monitor our brain waves, not only monitor, but change our brain waves so you could be just turned into whatever it is that is needed for those moments. Interesting enough, I've read, and I don't have a patent for this one, like the patent I just said, but I think of what I've seen, Apple headphones have the ability to now, which when they integrate with AI, which is going to create this more ease of use global system, you just have a nice Apple Watch on, right? You can monitor your heart rate, monitor your blood waves. And so if you have what it does is it monitors your own brain waves and then sends that data to a database like Microsoft, like Apple, like any of these places. And then they store that. And then, it's cool. You just want to know what you dreamed about last night. And what they can do now is they can actually take your brain waves from your dream states and then put it on a screen so you can see what your dreams were like. It's like, that sounds great. Let's do that.
Wow. So Nick, what are the more recent advancements?
I actually, you know what? Why he was talking earlier, and I was trying to look for some of the newest ones. And there is one that is from 2025 that is open. It's like it's kind of like they're working on it, getting it finalized. And I think this is interesting how you guys mentioned drones. This one does mention drones. So there is EP 3994976B1, and that is apparatus for electrospray cloud seeding. And the grant for it was October 29th, 2025. So like this is kind of brand new working on this. And what they're saying it is, it uses electrostatic forces to atomize and charge droplets. The description leans on electrospraying basics. High voltage plus an electrogeometry creates conditions where a liquid jet breaks into droplets. Those droplets can be highly charged. It mentions controlling droplet size by liquid flow rate, capillary orifice diameter, and applied voltage. And that one does, it mentions somewhere earlier that, yes, this one, it's a cloud seeding delivery system, a mobile platform explicitly including drones that electrosprays, electrically charges, and atomizes water-based seeding liquids into ultrafine droplets to influence cloud microphysics, warm rain growth, and or ice initiation. So that's a newer one that they're working on. I guess like you were kind of mentioning before, are they including drones? Well, there you go.
Nice. Boy, that good find. I also want to add to the weather modification and cloud seeding stuff is that everyone seems to be wondering on a yearly basis why there are so many fires everywhere. And so it's really fascinating that one, we realize if you add a lot of aluminum, barium, and strontium, let alone the myriad of other chemicals to not only the sky, but the ground and the trees, that they seem to be a lot easier to be just kind of lit on fire. And then you have all of that going across the Canada, California, Montana, and all these places. And so it doesn't need to be something as science fiction as, beams from the satellites in the sky. It's as easy as when the planes go across the sky that they're just, placing these things there. And then when a lightning storm happens, or, you get crazy people who light stuff on fire. There's a lot of pyromaniacs out there that all of a sudden you just have this controlled demolition of forests, I
just want to read you one of the news stories that came out here and get your thoughts on this. UK scientists to launch outdoor geoengineering experiments. Blocking the sunlight could temporarily slow the climate crisis, but the technology is highly controversial.
Yeah.
So they're spending 50 million of our taxpayers' money to give this contract to these scientists. And they're saying they're going to obtain critical data needed to assess the potential of the technology. The program, along with another 11 million project, will make the UK one of the biggest funders of geoengineering research in the world. If successful, it could temporarily reduce surface temperatures, blah, blah, blah. But basically, England is not the warmest country in the world. They're going to have airplanes release, I think, tiny aerosol particles that reflect light back into space. And it's quite cold here right now.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't make any sense. Why would they want to?
Isn't it cloudy enough there sometimes?
Every bloody day. Every bloody day. People leave here all the time to go to Spain to get the sunlight, and then they're going to block the sunlight from us. There's no common sense here at all.
Yeah.
Is there something more nefarious behind what they're doing?
For sure. Well,
that will even lower your testosterone in bed.
Yeah.
And I just even think to an extent, if you really want to get into it, this may sound weird, but the sunlight is kind of like a frequency or even like a, vibrational rate, whatever. It's code technically. I mean, it could be literally code. The way that works is that it goes into your eyes, it flips around, does all this stuff. And then it goes up into your optic nerve and turns into electricity and then powers your whole body. So if you really want to look at how that all works, So, I mean, if you're blocking it out or if you're doing something different with it, who knows what type of frequency you're taking into your brain, literally. Yeah. What kind of energy are you providing your body? What's flowing through your nerves? Or what isn't?
They're calling it solar radiation management, SRM.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, and why I think that's so crazy is we've all seen it, right? Everyone has seen The Matrix. It's like a widely used symbol and movie. You know, the great Keanu Reeves, you know, he's amazing. But the idea of how The Matrix even got started, and you have to you have to watch The Animatrix, which takes place in between the first movie and the second movie. But The Animatrix actually tells you in the first 2 episodes of that movie, it shows you that what the humans did after they created AI and robots was they got into the great robot war, right? The great cyber war between man and machine. And to kill off the machine, strangely enough, who knows why, we blocked out the sun. And that is why the desert of the real, or the Earth, looks like it does when Neo is outside of the Matrix. And so when you're there, it's all because they were trying to say that the machines needed the sun. And then what we always forget is that we are organic beings who need the sun as well. And so it's really fascinating how our fiction is mirroring our reality. And in this day and age, it seems like fiction is even more truthful than reality. And so it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we're all going to be going around with jaundice if this goes ahead. and people in the chat are skeptical of what I'm saying here. But it's called Frankenweather. Starmer has committed public funds to explore this, including stratospheric aerosol injection, marine cloud brightening, and space-based reflectors. This is all in progress, folks. These methods are a part of a broader class of climate tech intended to reduce emissions, alter the Earth's energy balance by reflecting a portion of sunlight back into space. Yeah.
And what's crazy is that you can just type in, everyone in the chat and everyone watching, just type in Forbes, Bill Gates, blotting out the sun, and it's right there. He talks about it all the time. Bill Gates is one of the main contributors to trying to block out the sun. And obviously we shouldn't be taking our health advice from that man, let alone everything that's coming out with these files that are being released.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to block out his STD from his wife.
Yes, he was under the cover of the night, right? That's how that's done. That's crazy.
We've got about 15 minutes left, viewers. We've got about 1,000 people watching live right now across all platforms.
Oh, wow.
I'm just going to put the guys' link tree in the chat right now if you can support their important work.
But and also Magus in the Media as well. I'm on the Occult Rejects, but Magus in the Media and my YouTube and all the things, that's where I'm at, where you can catch me. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, you're fine. In 50 minutes' time, we've got ex-prosecutor Lionel coming in to do a deeper dive on the Epstein files. Nice. But please get your questions in for the guys right now, and we'll get as many of them looked at as possible. So Beyond is asking, does this stuff include radioisotopes?
Interesting. Radioisotopes. I don't know too much about radioisotopes, but most likely, if I do a quick I will be able to tell you right now. Radioisotopes are unstable atoms that release radiation as they decay into more unstable forms. Oh, of course it does. Because what's going on is what nano aluminum has or doesn't have is an extra electron in it. And when you add that into our bodies, something that lacks that electron, what it's doing is it's decaying at a rapid rate and taking over the host like a parasite. And so it's fascinating that it's not just like it goes into one atom or one cell or one mitochondria. What it does is it takes over the whole thing, just like cancer does. If one goes out of array, the rest start to decay along with it. And so I think maybe that answer would be yes, but you'd have to fact check me. Don't use Snopes.
Don't use Snopes.
Anything to add there, Nick?
No, that one I couldn't. That stuff coming across in the patterns that I looked at, no, it doesn't mean that it's not.
Okay, so next question. How does HARP interact with DARPA?
I mean, HARP obviously to me is a subsidiary of DARPA. And so you got to realize that a lot of these things, like what Palantir was initially, was a CIA operation and project that then got put out into the open and became their own umbrella corporation of the CIA. And so even if you can't find the data that DARPA directly, HARP is directly DARPA, HARP has expanded since. I remember talking and learning about HARP in the early 2000s. And we're already like 3 levels deeper from HARP into other umbrella corporations of, the Department of Advanced Research projects. And so I would say yes, and then.
So Anisha, go for it, Nick.
Something I did want to mention earlier too about DARPA. I totally forgot. Didn't Facebook start like the day after the day DARPA started as well?
What it is it's the day after LogLink. Or LifeLink. So DARPA was creating LifeLink, and they wanted to put that out to the masses, and then it didn't work. And then so they cut that, and then Mark Zuckerberg, weirdly enough, came out with Facebook and the whole social programming of the movie that they're trying to impress upon us. That is the truth of how Facebook came to be.
Yeah. And I even think HARP also, my opinion, I think HARP also does maybe possibly mess with weather. There was, I don't have them on me now. I didn't have all the patents that I've had in the past, but there were ones that did consist of basically using like almost like satellite things or antennas to when they will send frequencies up into the air, and there's a gas that will be released. That's like a conduit. The frequency then to make it into the cloud. So I even think like I think HARP could even be possibly getting involved in weather manipulation as well.
It for surely is. HARP means High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, and their endeavors aim at the studying and properties and behavior of the ionosphere. And this weather modification is happening within the ionosphere itself, and then top down to us as we try to live within it.
Yeah, watch that preposterous Zuckerberg movie. It's about as sincere as the movie about the woman who didn't come from Epstein's network. What's in it? Oh, Melania. All right, so next question is from Anisha. Do you think this engineered rain through chemtrails may also be used to benefit some modified crops to enhance industry? I began to notice them more after an increase in soy crops here in Uruguay.
There was patents that I had that I don't think I mentioned anything about technically chemtrails that that they try to make it as if they are used for a good reason to do stuff like that, but I didn't include those because I don't know if I necessarily believe it's really like for a good thing.
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's tough because you got to understand how the human body works, and it's not a machine. And so, yes, if you want to feed the masses, like how back in the day they would feed everyone bread, but the kings and queens got the meat. It's very similar to that kind of ideal. It's like if everyone who can afford organic, non-GMO, non-sprayed Monsanto food, they all are eating that. And then everyone else is getting aluminum, barium, strontium bread fries as they're integrating it into their system. And so you are what you eat. And so I think that kind of answers that question.
I remember when Monsanto was getting consistently voted, the most evil company in the world, and then suddenly it got bought out by somebody else, and they changed the name. All right, so Agent Orange wants to know how many inventors have been X for creating weather-making apparatus.
I've never even thought of looking into that. To tell you the truth,
I don't think I understand the question.
Like if people
he's asking if they've been X'd.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, probably as many times as free energy users. So
Yeah, that I never even thought of looking into. Probably some of them were so old that people are dead anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
You had a few people ask whether chemtrails are evenly spread throughout the world in every country, and if they're across all of the states or only certain states more so.
I'll be honest. I moved from New York to North Carolina, and I think I do see less here. So but that could be where I'm living. But
is that a population density thing then?
I could only imagine.
Different. Yeah, it's a lot less people where I am now than I was.
Yeah, and I think it's not like a straight line. Obviously, you only have so many people who can fly so many planes or raise so many satellites or do so many of these balloons, and so I think it's kind of like you put weather modification areas on and off at will, depending upon where you want crazy weather to be, and if you want to raise up certain populations at certain times, you spray those areas to do certain things.
All right. So Winsy is saying, what about tinnitus? Are we really hearing EMFs?
Yes, and I can tell you for sure that that's true. I went on vacation somewhere for a few months a while back, and I was not around any Wi-Fi for a very long time. And within days, I had no tinnitus, I had no ringing in my ears, and I heard things clearly. And so there is a lot of data that shows that the ringing in our ears is because of the Wi-Fi, the EMFs that are around us at all times. Because like I said before, all Wi-Fi is non-native EMF, meaning it's not natural for our bodies to be around it, thus creating dissonances and frequencies in our brain nervous system.
Right, viewers, we've got about 5 minutes left. Get your final questions in before Lionel comes on to talk about the Epstein files. So SWA, I'm sorry, we got
I do have
SWA's.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go on. Please, no, please add. Keep going.
Yeah, no. Somebody asked about deaths. I mean, there was something I was able to find real quick. These could like literally, by accident. But the March 2nd of 1980 Nevada cloud seeding crash, Desert Research Institute notes a fatal crash that killed 4 DRI researchers. It was a major reason why they shifted away from airplane seeding. Then in April 17, 2000, Reno Steed cloud seeding mission crash. Multiple reports describe a plane on a cloud seeding mission crashing shortly after takeoff, killing 3. December 1st and the 2nd in 2016, Fargo area weather modification plane crash. Reports identify a fatal crash involving a weather modification aircraft, resulting in at least 1 death. And then September 24th in 2019, there was a Thailand cloud seeding operation crash. An accident report states 2 people died in a crash involving an aircraft by Thailand's Department of Royal Rainmaking and Agricultural Aviation for cloud seeding.
Yeah, seems about right.
Next question is from SWA. Contrails versus chemtrails. They both stay in the earth for a while, but do contrails have to be above 25,000 feet?
Anything on that?
Let's see. It says contrails typically form at altitudes about 26,000 to 30,000 feet in the upper the upper troposphere, where temperatures are colder. While they generally appear at typical commercials. So I guess so, but that's Google. Google is a subsidiary of ABC, and ABC corporations are DARPA. So it's you make up your own mind.
I will say there was some patents where they did have you going up that high in the air, that far up to do stuff. That's interesting.
All right, next question is from Marie. I have a Bluetooth loudspeaker for my laptop. Is that bad, or is it only the phones?
No, it's all things. It's all Bluetooth. And I want you to, yeah, exactly. And so I owned a EMF meter for a while. I don't have it now, but I want you to know that even though it says you can turn it off, not all of them can be turned off. Another fascinating thing. And so when you put your phone on airplane mode, as of now, it does completely cut the Wi-Fi signal and EMFs. But that one that Nick just held up right there does not do that. And so especially the Bose and any of those things, there's still a small little pulse that happens very similarly to how your cell phone makes small little pulses taking pictures and just the same way as you can't actually ever turn your cell phone off.
So you got a question from Aegis. What is the stuff in the fake snow that burns black and smells of plastic?
Yeah. And so that's another fascinating thing. That goes back to what I said: barium, strontium, aluminum, plastic. It's in, our body every week has a week or two has a whole credit card worth of plastic in it based upon what you're eating and all these things. I can't, claim to know. I haven't done it myself that the snow burns like that, but I can only imagine that it's true.
Can we use biogeometry as a protection from EMF and cell towers?
I know a lot about this one as well. I'm going to tell you, there's so many scam artists out there. And so I want you to know that if you spend $100 on any of those things, that most likely they're not going to work.
Who is manufacturing the vast amount of material involved in the spraying?
There was ones that I noticed from older patents. I don't know if it is now, but again, because it seems like they're using different technology. A lot of them seem to be like pesticides that were like played around with or changed.
Yeah.
So I do wonder, like, I don't know, maybe something from the pesticides companies, who knows?
Yeah, and interesting enough, like the human person, it's not like humans are bad outright. And so there are a lot of people out there who are working for the aerospace or they're flying these planes. They don't think what they're doing is wrong because they don't know everything that's in the chemical makeup of these things. Like we don't know what's in most things. And so like, it's not like these people are evil who are flying the planes. I know that's one of the constant things that people are saying to try to debunk this kind of information.
Right, guys, we're almost at the hour. Is there anything you'd like to say in conclusion to the viewers? And huge thank you for coming on. I've learned so much. I'm going to have to get rid of these Bluetooth headsets.
For the occult rejects, we have covered MK Ultra patents in the past. You can check that out. We have covered weather manipulation patents. Something that might be of interest for some of your viewers. It's something that we covered a couple of years ago and didn't seem to really get too much wasn't popularly received, but maybe it's a little bit more interesting to people. It's we show how Robert Maxwell, since they're in the scene again, how they controlled the publishing company, books going into schools and the academic world with publishing. And they have been still. And, I think it's just interesting when you start seeing the people that Robert Maxwell was surrounding himself and Ghislaine and then Trump, you just, might see a bigger picture. I think we don't kind of look at what he was doing as much or what she was doing. I think they're a little bit bigger of the picture than we're led to believe. If you start seeing how they controlled how our kids, their books were in school that I read, McGraw-Hill and all those books. I read those books. That was Maxwell.
Yeah.
They really have controlled our thought in the United States for a long time. Check that show. It's worth watching.
I've just subscribed to Magus in the Media, and I've put the link in the live chat and the description box. Anything you'd like to say in conclusion, my friend?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. Go over to Magus in the Media, YouTube, X, and Instagram. It's where I break down all things through a philosophical, mythological, esoteric lens, literature. It's all about bringing meaning back to the postmodern, functionalist, mechanical world. Every day we're being seeded with signs, symbols, and stories that most people don't know about. And it's not all bad. There is the divine and the light within the darkness. And so it's about trying to show people how to see those things for themselves and where to take it from there. And I just thank you for bringing us on. Go over to Magus in the Media, subscribe, like, and share.
Yeah, huge thank you for coming on, guys. I'm going to let you guys go and close the show, and you take care. Cheers.
Thank you.
Awesome. Peace.
Thank you. All right, viewers. The links again, please support the guys. They're in the description box. And also, Lionel, ex-prosecutor, is going to come in now, and he's going to give us his thoughts on the Epstein files. So when this show finishes, it will switch you over to that show. And if it doesn't, then just click the channel icon. It'll show that we are live. And that should take you through that method. But I hope to see some of you in the live chat with Lionel in a few seconds.